Yeah. Tell me what got gun on that dirt. Yeah. Yo, if I were podcasting, it would be insane. Knowledge flowing like the sweetest rain. Professor Bear on the mic, spreading wisdom wide. The best thoughts, that's my pride, can't hide.
With the voices in your ear, changing the game.
If I rule podcasting, every thought we'd ignite. In a world of chatter, with a spark in the fight. With Professor Bear, we're climbing to new heights. A Best Thoughts podcast, shining bright in the night. Topics from the heart, never sounding the same. Got laughs and debates, never dull or bland. From culture to tech, take you by the hand. Join the ride with us, feel the vibe expand. With every episode, we shine that
beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul.
So tune in, don't miss what we got to share. If I rule podcasting, I spread the love everywhere.
Welcome, and thank you for joining me this evening. I am Professor Bear, and this is a Bear's Thoughts. And guys, girls, 2026 has been just already an amazing year. Doing this appreciation month for all the wrestling podcasts has been just an amazing thing. I've gotten a chance to talk to some people I hadn't talked to in quite a while. I've got to meet some new faces and new podcasters. And of course, I've got to talk to my family in WSN. But one of the reasons in particular why I decided to do this is I wanted to give a thank you for people who gave me an opportunity when they had no idea who I was. I just wanted to talk about the WSN and plug it. And I had so many people that were so gracious enough to have me on their podcast. And I really wanted to show them that love and respect back to have them on my show. And this particular gentleman, again, just a great person, and he had me on the show with no issues, and we had a great conversation, and I definitely wanted to return that favor. This is Jared from If You Give a Dad a Podcasting. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm excited to do this. I've been looking forward to it ever since you reached out to me. I was like, okay, it's kind of interesting. I haven't got to do a lot of being on the other side of the interview, So
Right.
this is kind of exciting to do this. And, whenever you reached out to me and I had you on the show and all that, we had a great conversation. And, I was glad that I was able to bring you on because my show kind of goes all over the place, but I love wrestling. We talk about wrestling all the time on the show. So, yeah, thank you for having me on here tonight. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, it is no problem. Again, this is my way of thanking you for having me on your show and to celebrate what you do. And because no matter what people may think, we play a role in the wrestling world too, and I don't think a lot of people get the respect and the admiration that they deserve. So this is just my small way of being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get started, I have to point out, guys, girls, you see that that geez, I'm so messed up. That QR code. This is to go to Jared's YouTube page. So give it a chance. Go see what he's talking about. And I tell you, I think you'll get hooked on it because, like he said, it's not just wrestling. He has a lot of different topics that he discussed, and it's fun. And I think you will enjoy it. So, and I had to do that, Jared, because I will get the yapping off at the mouth and forget. I've did that. Like I'm saying my goodbyes, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh snap. So I have to remind myself to do it in the beginning.
I get you. I get you. Hey, I have to have notes whenever I'm doing my show. Otherwise, I'll completely forget what I'm talking about. So
Oh yeah.
I'm right there with you.
So my first question that I always ask all of my guests is, how did you become a wrestling fan?
Oh, okay. So I was really little, and I have an uncle that is really close in age to me. In fact, I remember him graduating high school. Um, my mom comes from a family of 10 kids, so a lot big age range there and everything.
Right.
And I remember him graduating high school. Well, he was really into WCW before WCW Monday Nitro, like old school WCW. And I remember him having these trading cards that that me and him was looking at and stuff. And he was actually the first one to really get me into watching wrestling, and it's kind of been with me throughout my entire life. But I remember watching that, and I remember watching people like Mark Nero whenever he was Johnny B. Bad and everything.
Yes.
I loved the kiss that don't miss, and everything.
Yes.
And I was always mad whenever he didn't get to do that move, in his match and stuff like that. And so that was my earliest memory of wrestling, is that. And then, I was in school throughout the Attitude Era. So, everybody was doing the For Life and everything, and, the DX stuff and all of that. So it's always kind of been around for me. And also my brother, he was he trained to be a wrestler in Oklahoma as well.
Oh,
so yeah,
okay.
so it kind of runs in my blood a little bit, I guess you could say.
Right. So could these trading cards look something like this?
That's exactly what they looked like. Yes.
I,
Yeah.
I have a whole, I don't have the entire collection, but I have just about the entire collection.
Yeah. My favorite one that I had was the Steiner Brothers one.
Oh
Because,
yeah,
man, I loved back in the day, when they had the kind of the collegiate wrestling look to them and everything. They were so cool. But that was my favorite card that I had of those.
I used to think that they were going to rival the Road Warriors as the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. They just innovated every time they got in the ring with something.
Right. I agree. I mean, they were one of those teams that were kind of ahead of their time, just like the Road Warriors were. And that's the one thing I liked about them. But Rick and the ooh 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 ooh, I love doing that. That they had interactive stuff for a kid. So
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, tell me how you went from being a wrestling fan to doing a podcast.
Okay, so I actually had a show that I did with a friend of mine. We worked together, and I was like, we're pretty funny. We should do a podcast together. And eventually, we're like, you know what? We're gonna do it. We've got microphones. Let's start this out. And so we started doing a show together. And life happens. And I decided I wanted to go a different route. I was like, we're still going to do this show, but I want to do something a little different, a little more nerdy, because this was more talking about serious things that are happening in the world and things like that. And I wanted to do something that was a lot more lighthearted.
Right.
And around that time, um, my son's stepdad invited me and my son to a local wrestling show, an independent show, and it was 10 minutes from my house. And I'd never been to a independent show before. And around that time, I said I was wanting to start the podcast. And so I went to that show. And if you listen to my very first episode, I don't recommend listening to my first episode because I didn't know what I was doing then. It's awful, but it's the first episode. So take it for what it is. It's somebody
Right.
excited to start a new show. And I said, maybe I'll be able to get some of these wrestlers that I just saw on my podcast. And for the first couple of years, most of my show was wrestling. I think like probably 80% of my show was I had wrestlers on here. I got to have different names on. My first wrestler I had on was Luke Langley. And I don't know if you know who that is, but if you don't, look him up. The man is amazing. I don't know how he is not signed by a major company, because he can go. He's got the look. He's got the moves. He is awesome. And he's one of my favorites. And there was a match between him and a man named Duke Cornell, who actually just retired from wrestling this last year. And they were the main event at that show. And I remember walking up to him after the match and telling him, this is better than half the stuff I see on TV. What are you doing in this, at this fairgrounds here wrestling? You should be doing something big. And I've actually become friends with a lot of those wrestlers that were at my very first show. I've had them on different times. And, I created this show to be something that I could do whatever I wanted. I didn't want to be stuck to one certain thing. And so my wife actually named the show because I told her what I wanted to do. And she said, well, what about if you give a dad a podcast? Because it's kind of like if you give a mouse a cookie, if you give a mouse a cookie, then what's he going to want? He's going to want a glass of milk. Well, he's going to want this. He's going to want that. Well, if you give a dad a podcast, he's going to want to have a wrestler on. He's going to want to have a comic book creator on, He's going to want to have his friends on the show. He's going to want to have his kids on the show. He's going to want to have all these different things if you give a dad a podcast. And, my nerddom, as you can see behind me, goes all over the place. I've got wrestling over here. I've got Power Rangers. I've got some horror stuff. I think, yeah, there's my Jason doll that I have there. And this is all just grown from that one thing of, I didn't want to be stuck with one part of it, because I have so much that I nerd out about, so much that I love to talk about,
Right.
And so a lot's happened. I'm actually coming up on 4 years of doing this show in April.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's just been so much fun doing this, because I get to make friends and talk to people that I never thought I would, And whenever I've actually talked with people, my last few guests about this, being able to go back and talk to younger me and say, hey, this is what you're going to do whenever you're older. And it's just amazing, how blessed I've been to be able to be here and, even talk to you here right now doing this. I mean, this is amazing. I never thought anybody would want to, listen to what I have going on. So, it's wrestling is where it started though. I mean, my first couple episodes, I think, in fact, before I had an actual guest on the show, I did that first episode. Then I had a friend of mine who's a animal chiropractor and human chiropractor. So we talked about that. And then the next 2 episodes were a back-to-back of WrestleMania. Like we were discussing what we thought was going to happen, because that was WrestleMania weekend. And then what happened,
Right.
and then, I started having wrestlers on after that. So, it's been from the very beginning that it is a big passion for me, and I love it. It's that's why we're here to talk.
Yeah, definitely. With you mentioning the indie part of it,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel or how do you feel about the difference between indie wrestling and the major companies?
So I'm going to put this in terms of the same way I kind of look at football. And that is a lot of your college players and stuff are trying to get to that point. And so you're going to see them trying to do more and stuff because they're wanting to get noticed, to make it to the NFL. And that's the same with the indies. You're going to see things that you probably wouldn't see somewhere else. And, in some ways, yes, that's good. I've also seen things that have happened where it's like, my God, why are you doing that to your body? But you can see certain matches that, would never happen in the major, in a major company, and it's from some little town. Me being able to see that match between, Luke Langley and Duke Cornell, I got to see that from the front row, and nobody else got to see that. And I feel that it's kind of a little more intimate, because you're right there, and I love going to these smaller shows, love going to local shows, because you get that intimate feeling and you get to be almost like you feel you're a part of it yourself, and then I don't have to worry about standing in, a 3-hour line just to shake somebody's hand, after the
Yeah.
show. I can walk up and I can talk to these people, and they're very approachable. And, I can definitely appreciate that.
I I always say that to me, indie wrestling is almost like a family reunion
Yeah.
because even if you don't know a person by name,
Hmm.
if you go enough, you start recognizing the regular people with yourself, and
Right.
and then say that person don't come to the next 3 shows, they show up at the fourth. The
Yeah.
first thing you're asking them, is everything okay? I hadn't
Right.
seen you. That's not like you. I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, the atmosphere, like you were saying. Two, for me, is I always give this test. If I close my eyes and just listen,
Hmm.
if I can't tell what type of building I'm in, if the crowd is so hot that I'm fooled that this could be a 20,000 seat arena,
Yeah.
then I know this is a great show.
Right. Right.
And like you said, the vibe and getting to interact with the wrestlers themselves
Hmm.
is something that I always have a closing line on my podcast of support your indie wrestling,
Yeah.
because you never know who you will see in the indies, and years down the road may be the world heavyweight champion in a major promotion.
Right. Right. Well, kind of going off what you said there, another thing that I think is important that you see more is crowd interaction, you know. And I have somebody who I've had on multiple times on the show, and that's Justin Lee. He wrestles with Wrestling for a Cause and all over Oklahoma and Arkansas. And he has this thing where whenever he's in Arkansas, if you know what Arkansas has, we have the Razorbacks, and that they call the Hogs, and he
Right.
has a move to where he has the crowd calling the Hogs. And you know what? All of the children love him whenever he's in Arkansas, and it's because he has something that they understand and they know, and he connects with the crowd on that other level because he has something that is a crowd interaction. Then one thing that he told me, and I've heard this many times before, and it's not so much the match itself that they remember, but it's the moments in the match that they remember.
That is so true. Um, I can't remember who I was having a discussion with, but they told me that it's about the moments,
Yeah,
not the match.
right.
And that is so true, because you will carry that, it will stick with you. I'm 52 years old, and I can barely remember, but I remember that me, my brothers, and my dad went to a wrestling show, and a wrestler asked my brother to hide a chain for him.
Okay.
And my brother's like, okay, no problem. And we just happened to have ringside seats, and the match was going on. And then the wrestler jumped out, like, give me the chain. My brother gave him the chain. He got back in the ring and destroyed that guy. And all my brother got from that was him signing his shirt.
Yeah.
But that moment
right
is something that is so memorable for me.
Right.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah. Remembering that moment, I think one thing that I've seen, and it's a funny little heel move. And have you ever seen any of them untie kids' shoes in the front row?
Yes,
It cracks me up every time they do that, and my daughter, when she went to a show with me, because I took them both to separate shows, that way I could do like some one-on-one interaction with them. And I took her to her first show, and the thing she remembers the most is there's this one guy in the ring that was yelling at her, and she got to yell back at him. She doesn't remember anything else about that entire show, but getting to yell at that guy that was in the ring and him interacting with her. It's the little things, like we said.
A funny moment. I was at a show with a friend of mine, and it was a tag team match.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew the two heels.
Okay.
I've seen them so many times. We talk, but I'm sitting in the crowd, and my buddy, he's a former wrestler, so he knows certain cues and stuff.
Right.
And the wrestler, I think I must have yelled something, and of course I didn't think anything about it. Well, the wrestler took his tape off his wrist, balled it up, and slung it at me. And I'm like, and and funny enough, I caught it, and I happened to I was like, and my buddy was like, yeah, he knows who you are. I was like, man, no, he don't. All these people here, he has no idea. So after the match, and he was setting up his booth and stuff, we walked over, and I was like, hey, man, how you doing? He's like, hey, Professor Bear, how you doing? I'm like, man, I'm doing good. I said, my buddy said you knew who I was. He said, yeah, I know you. That's why I threw it at you, because I knew it would get heat.
Yeah.
So it's so funny how wrestlers use different techniques to draw heat on themselves. It's amazing.
We have a lady who goes to a lot of the local shows, and she goes by Granny Hulkster. I don't know if you've seen her on anything, but she's pretty well known in this area, and a lot of the heels like to go over there and pick at her, because they know that that's going to get the crowd. It's going to get them that heat if they go and mess with Granny Hulkster.
It seems like there's always a granny somewhere in a show.
Yep.
And they are just so into it so much. Like it was a older lady here in Knoxville, and anytime WCW would come, she is front row. And I particularly remember this moment because I was at the show, and of course when I got home I watched it back. But Hulk Hogan was out. He was Hollywood Hogan, and doing this thing, and he got too close to that woman. She took a swing at Hogan. And they just went back and forth. And I just thought, like, you cannot ask for, you couldn't have planned that any better. It's just, she is so passionate about it.
Well, and I've heard stories plenty of, people talking about their grandmas watching wrestling, and taking it so serious that they're yelling at the TV, because the wrestling was on. It's almost like their soap operas were on. So um, it was a different time during then, and old ladies swinging at wrestlers was a thing, especially if you hear about even in Mexico, like, oh man, those hills. I'm a big fan of Chris Jericho and his books, and reading some of the things that he talked about being in Mexico. And if you're a heel, you've got to get out of there as soon as it's over, because those people are going to try to kill you. And and there was a lot of old ladies that were sitting there trying to cut you with a piece of glass or something.
I I love listening to stories of heels talking about how they had things happen to them.
Right.
Jerry the King Lawler told the story of when I can't remember what city he was in, but he was the heel and he got some major heat.
Yeah.
So after the show, he was walking towards his car, walking to his car. This guy came out of nowhere and had a knife and went to swinging on him. So he's like, of course he's trying to protect himself.
Yeah.
And he got away from the guy, but the guy went to his car, flattened all 4 tires.
Oh no.
And yeah, it's they take it way, way, way too serious.
They do. Yeah.
But again, the key to me is any wrestler who knows anything about getting over, you have to have some kind of connection with that fan.
Right.
And the best heels know how to hit that switch on people that just will send them over the edge.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of my favorite wrestlers are ones who could pull off that heel turn or that heel move. The ones that the crowd absolutely hated. Those are the ones I kind of admire, and especially ones like I remember hearing a story about Edge. He actually felt insulted if people will cheer for him whenever he was a heel, because he took it serious.
Right.
Or I think I was talking to, I don't remember who it was. I had somebody on my show and we were talking about Jericho. He had a fan in an elevator with him, and it was a little boy and his dad. But it was during that whole run of whenever he was like wearing the suits and using the big words and everything. And the guy was like, "Oh my God, my son's such a big fan of you. Can you please sign this?" And he completely ignored them the entire time. And he was like, "You know what? It killed me to do that, but at the same time, they aren't going to be cheering for me tonight."
Yeah.
So it's like, man, and as a dad, it kind of kills me to hear that, because, if I was in there with one of my kids and he did that, you can be definitely, I would not be cheering him. But at the same time, as a wrestling fan, I was like, I kind of respect it.
Right. Quick funny story. I was at one of our local shows, and I was sitting ringside, and wrestler, his manager, and his buddy in the group came out. Well, his buddy was walking around ringside while his partner was wrestling, and he was walking around. Well, I had a couple of empty seats next to me, and he sat down beside me. And I mean, he was giving everybody the business.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, I'm pretty smart on the business, but dude, you really make me want to punch you in the face right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he said something to me. I couldn't make it out.
Yeah.
Then he got up and started walking back around and messing with other fans. Well, later on, after the okay, so had a little glitch, but he came back out and he came up to me. He's like, Professor, he said, man, I'm a big fan of yours. And I said, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate it. I said, man, I said, I'm gonna tell you just, and I'm being honest as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I know the business. I
Yeah.
said, but you legitimately made me want to punch you in the face. And he said, yeah. He said, man, he said, the reason I sat down beside you is because I really wanted to talk to you. But
Yeah.
then I'm sitting there like, I can't break kayfabe, but can't break kayfabe. So he's like, so he said, that's why I told you stay around after the match. And I said, oh, so that's what you said. I said, I couldn't make out what you said.
Thought you over here talking crap, man. I thought I was gonna stay anyway, so we can say what's up.
Like, man, you got me kind of heated.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, coming from you, that's the best compliment. And I later on got him on my show and we talked about it. But he was so convincing in his role, and I love that he did not break kayfabe. He even gave me a snarl when he got up. So he really was into character, and I appreciated that, because I would hate for a little kid that heard it or saw it and got really confused. Like magic. Yeah. I don't want you ever to know the trick, how it's done. Just enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I think that's important for kids too, because I remember as a kid, talking about our favorite wrestlers and, they Stone Cold got arrested, and everything, and it was very important and serious. And then, it get a little older and people's like, oh, that's fake and everything. And it takes it away. But now I do look at it through a different lens. But at the same time, I can still get myself into that of believing, and with certain ones, you can still believe what they're doing. It feels real.
Oh yeah. And the guy who threw the tape at me, AJ Kazana. AJ is one of the sweetest people you would ever meet. Him, his brother, and his father, all of them are great individuals. But every time that he is wrestling heel and I see him or make some gesture to him, he goes out of his way to talk crap to me, to just sell it that he's gonna kick my ass. And I and afterwards, generally we get to talk and stuff. And it's just like, it's like a big brother just ribbing the little brother. And I feel that way every time we're together. So with being a podcaster, knowing inside of wrestling like you do, if they told you, okay, you can only watch one style of wrestling from now on, either you can watch the majors or you can watch the indies, which one would you watch and why?
That's a tough question, because I watch each one of them for something different, So what would we be considering major and what would we be considering indies?
So for me, I would NWA or the minors.
Okay.
WWE, EC. I said ECWG.
Going back a few years there, man.
Right. TNA, AEW, New Japan, like those are the majors for me.
Okay. So with Ring of Honor being owned by AEW, we consider that kind of like NXT, still majors?
Yes.
Okay. 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 My reasoning is going to suck on this, but I'm going to go with this. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the majors. And the reason why is because of how attainable it is compared to a lot of the indies. Being able to find it and watch it, I've got, Netflix if I'm going to watch Monday Night Raw. I've got HBO if I want to stream AEW, yeah, I've got YouTube where I can watch live of TNA if I want to watch that,
Right.
I think I'm going to go with that just because of how easily accessible it is, and I'm still going to be able, with you putting some of those in there like Ring of Honor and New Japan, I'm still going to get that indie feel, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. It's going to suck. I'm going to hate the fact that I don't get to see my indie stuff, but I'm going to sneak off to an indie show every once in a while.
One thing I love saying about today's indie is it has the feel of the territorial days,
Yeah.
but better because you can see it anytime. Also, you don't have to be around a promotion to be able to see them, because they understand now to do YouTube, have streaming services.
Yeah.
You can go to their website and you can watch it.
Right.
It's so much easy to access almost any indie show
Right.
in the world. And I love that because it gives guys and girls more chances to get noticed and get a chance, hopefully, to go to the majors to live out their dream.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out to a group out of Texas really quick, and that's Metroplex Wrestling out there in Texas. They have a Twitch show with their wrestling, and the amount of effort and the amount of production and the amount of passion that they put into that, you feel like you're watching a major brand. And I've talked to different wrestlers that have come from there, and they all have nothing but good to say about that. And I really enjoy the fact that I can go on Twitch and watch their stuff. They've got people. There's some of these companies, and the indies and stuff need to look into this stuff, because you could show stuff on Twitch and you can have people that pay a subscription, whether it's dollar, something like that, or you can do free stuff on there as well and have live promotional stuff going on, as well as use YouTube. I learned that recently with my show, because I just went to video October of 2024, and now I'm growing an audience on YouTube. You can do that. There's no excuse on saying, well, people aren't going to see my stuff. Well, are you putting it out there for them to see it?
Exactly. And like you said, there's no excuse. And
Right.
it's not like you have to really, you don't even have to pay to get started.
Right.
You can put your stuff out there. You just need, and I've had this conversation with a couple of different indie promotions that put their stuff out. I'm like, you got to have commentary.
Right.
You
Yes.
have to.
Yes.
It's because I don't think that people realize on how much commentary helps enhance the wrestling.
Right.
And help tell the story. If you've never seen the show, it's first time watching it, the announcers the commentary will help you
to tell that story,
understand some of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like you said, there's a promotion in North Carolina, Oh, they're gonna kill me if they're gonna kick my butt once they because I'm blanking on their name. But Evolution, Evolution. I can't remember, and I apologize. But their production value is top notch, considering they are an independent brand.
Yeah.
They and I talked to the their producer,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing he said that he drilled in them from the very start.
Yeah.
We may not be WWE, but there's no reason why we can't have WWE like production.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh, we had a company here, and I would like to see more out of them. I know that there's things going on, and they've kind of merged with another company and things like that. But there was one that I actually worked with. I did some backstage correspondence work with them, and started a kind of a YouTube show talking, hyping stuff up,
Right.
and it was called Diamond State Wrestling. That was here in Arkansas, and the owner of it at the time was Xander Gold, and he put a lot into that. He was writing storylines, he had everything planned out. He had a commentary space. He had somebody who built an actual like desk that had the logo on it and everything, and he had all of this stuff that he put into it. And you need people that have a passion for it, that it's not just thrown together, because I've also seen wrestling shows where they come out from just a door on the side, and it's just and I'm not downplaying anything that these people are doing, because I mean, some people don't have the money to have the big
Right.
productions
Right.
and stuff, but you know uh, I saw Diamond State Wrestling when it was when it was going, and it was um he put sweat, he put blood into that. There were every time I would come there to where they were having the shows at, there was somebody working on something to make it look, a little better. And when you have people around you that have that passion, that want to be there, that believe in what you're doing, and you surround yourself with the people that believe in what you're doing, you're going to have a better product in the end, no matter what.
Definitely. And even like you said, even if you don't have the money,
Yeah.
that does not stop you from having the passion to
Yeah.
do things and to improve where you can.
Right.
And
Right.
and unfortunately, I have been to some shows that you could tell they gave less than a damn.
Yep. Yep.
And as Jim Cornette would say, them damn mud shows.
They've got Facebook pages like dedicated to that now.
Yes.
Like, so I saw somebody post something the other day. A wrestler I know out of Springfield, Joe Helms, and he posted from this one page, and oh my goodness, like I don't. It was almost to the where it was have a little bit more respect for what you're trying to do, type of
Right.
thing, because it was like there's no production value here at all. You could tell that it wasn't promoted, because I think there was 5 people in the crowd,
Mm.
and so I mean it was rough, but they have whole pages dedicated to what Jim Cornette would call a mud show now.
I dealt with a clone of Jim Cornette one time,
Yeah,
and the funny part about for me was I didn't necessarily disagree with what he was saying.
yeah,
It was just how he said it
yeah,
and why he stuck his big nose in my post.
yeah.
Because I think I was trying to promote um, my R2K promotion.
Okay,
And,
yeah, yeah,
just just promoting it. Nothing. I wasn't like, oh, this is the greatest thing on earth or nothing. Just like, hey,
It's
we're
fun.
doing good things.
Yeah.
Check us out.
Yeah.
This jerk. Oh, you're another mud show. You need to get a life. Blah blah blah. And he went in. So I simply told him, "Hey, I wasn't talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like it, don't watch.
Exactly.
No skin off my nose, but
Yeah.
you're not gonna be disrespectful to me either."
Right. Right.
And he said something, I said something, and of course, I got hit with Facebook, said I was bullying.
Of course. Yeah.
But with all that being said, I it's okay to have an opinion.
Yeah.
It's okay to debate with people.
Right.
When you take it too far and become insulting, nasty, and trying to be personal,
Right.
just don't follow someone. It's simple to do. You can
Yeah.
block anybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and with that being said, it goes back to, for me too, tribalism. I'm a big believer in you love what you love.
Right.
Have your opinions, but when it's like, oh God, it's just WWE doing this. They're the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Or, oh God, Tony Khan can't book. This
Yeah.
is crap.
Yeah.
Look, if you don't like something, or and again, have an opinion.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't like AEW, don't watch it, but don't sit there every turn when something goes wrong. I told you they were crap. They were the worst. That tribalism is so unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's everybody's got haters, and it's going to happen. And the best thing to do is just brush it off, keep going. I know what I love, and that's wrestling, and I'm going to watch AEW. I'm going to watch WWE. I'm going to watch, TNA. I'm going to watch whatever I want, and I'm going to enjoy it. In fact, there was during COVID, my favorite thing to watch was Impact Wrestling, because I felt that was very entertaining during that time. They didn't have a crowd, just like everybody else didn't have a crowd, but they made a way to make it work. For me, in my
Right.
opinion, there was lots of people was like, no, I thought that sucked. It was awful, but okay, that's fine. You want to have that opinion. That's cool. But don't, dump on me because I do enjoy it. When you
Right.
take something that's an opinion and you making it personal, then then maybe it's time to turn the page, talk about something else, and
Exactly.
so yeah, but some people don't know how to do that. If you don't have the same opinion as them, then you're wrong and they are going to come after you.
And and like I tell anybody, we as wrestling fans are some of the most fickle people on earth.
Absolutely.
We 1 minute Triple H is doing the greatest job ever. Next
Yeah.
minute, oh, somebody get Triple H out of there. He's
Yeah.
you can't satisfy us, and we always want to find some reason to complain.
Absolutely.
But hey, we're wrestling fans. That's why I tell most people, like, look, we're just wrestling fans. Look, as long as you don't say the F word around us, you'll be okay. But when you start hollering fake, I can't protect you. Whatever happens. You the one that said that.
Well, somebody at work actually said that to me the other day, and I was like, you wouldn't say that when you're watching a Superman movie. I mean, come on. Yeah, I know that it's scripted, I know the outcome is predetermined, but you try getting in a ring and getting slammed around, you're not gonna it's not something that comes easy. But yeah, wrestling fans, it's funny because we'll gripe, we'll complain, but then we all come together when somebody tries to attack it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So with podcasting the way it is today, and you been blessed to have such a long run in podcasting. If I had never did a podcast before, and I'm asking your opinion on what I needed to do, what advice would you give me?
Okay. So it doesn't take a lot to start out. It sounds like more than it is. And there are ways to start doing a podcast, find what you want to talk about, find that before you get started, because otherwise your first couple episodes, you're going to be wandering around trying to figure it out. And that's what I did. I didn't have that advice when I first started. I just jumped in and said, let's do this. Let's try to find something. And, find what you want to talk about. My first microphone was a $50 microphone from Walmart. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's something that you can do. And one thing I like to tell people, and if you want to talk to wrestlers, if you want to talk to somebody, interviewing people, because that's what my show is it's an interview style show. For the most part, I do have a few other episodes that are different, towards just discussion episodes or something like that. But most of the time, it's me talking to somebody in an interview style. The worst that they can do is tell you no. And that's the one thing I can tell anybody when it comes to starting a show. The worst thing that can happen is somebody tells you no or they don't listen. But the thing is if you really want to do this and it feels like this is a passion that you want to do it, take that leap, take that chance, take that opportunity and make something. Because here's the thing, if you don't do it, you're never going to know. You might have something that somebody needs to hear, but until you record it, until you press record and actually do it, you're never going to know. And so take that opportunity, take that chance. And I encourage you to try it because while it has its moments to where you're like, man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. This is rough. It also has those rewarding moments to where I am very thankful that I started doing this 4 years ago.
I definitely feel the same way. It's an amazing thing
Yeah.
that I didn't realize of how much I really miss something.
Yeah.
And it's like now I have a purpose and I know why that purpose is, and so thankful that I get a chance to do this.
Absolutely.
It's just when it stops being fun, then I will stop doing it. But
Right.
I don't see it being that way for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, and one other thing is, like I said earlier, I look back and I'm like, look at all these cool moments that I've been able to have because I decided I'm going to start a podcast. Things that I never thought I would do. Man, I've talked to people. I'm a big Power Rangers fan. I've actually talked to different people who are actors on Power Rangers, on my favorite seasons of Power Rangers. I've talked to people I'm a big Dragon Ball Z guy, and I've talked to, voice actors from Dragon Ball Z. I've had the opportunity. I've talked to people like, I had Michael Elgin on, this last year, and he was in TNA. I know he's not really in wrestling at the moment and everything, but I got a chance to let him tell his side of the story on my show. I've got to talk to tons of people. I got to have Tyler Main, who wrestled in WCW, who ended up being Sabretooth in the X-Men movie. I got to have him on my show, and had I not started this, I would have never got that cool moment to be able to say, hey, I've talked to the guy that played Michael Myers and that played Sabretooth in the X-Men movie. He was a wrestler who came out of Stu Hart's dungeon. I got to talk to somebody who came out of Stu Hart's dungeon on my podcast. Not every podcast can say that. And that's something cool that I can say, hey, I've had somebody who was an actual, student on my show. And had I not started this, would have never got that opportunity.
Exactly. I want to thank you, not just for doing my show, but for doing your show for as long as you've been doing it. I am a true believer in giving people their flowers where while they're alive and can enjoy them and smell them.
Yeah.
I think there is not enough people to give people a genuine compliment and be very thankful for what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a part of the reason why I chose to do this, to give people their flowers and let them know how much not only your fans look at you and mean to you, but how much I appreciate what you do. And we all play a big part in wrestling.
Right.
And I want you to continue succeeding, doing your thing the way you want to. And I just really want you to enjoy every moment of it. So thank you so much.
And thank you for saying that. It means a lot to me that you thought of me to bring me on the show here. I appreciate what you're doing as well. You've got this amazing podcast that you got going on. You've got the Wrestling Society Network that you've got, and you're creating something amazing here. And bringing me on and giving me this chance to talk to your audience means the world to me. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know.
Well, I appreciate it. And you are more than welcome to come back on. We can definitely talk. And I definitely want to come on your show so I can let my comic book nerd side of me come out.
Oh, let's do it, man.
I am a big DC fan.
All right.
And I love Marvel cinema, but I read DC more, and I love their animation. So
yeah. I'm a big comic book guy. You can't see it, but I've got one of those turnstile things to where it has the comic books on the rack and all that over here set up. I'm a big comic book guy. My dad got me into it. It's funny. He's a pastor. I'm actually a pastor's son, and he got me into comic books and started out with Wolverine and Superman and just grew from there.
My middle brother got me into it.
Yeah.
And I can remember the first comic that he got me. I still have it, even though it's shredded to pieces. I still have it. And I got me another one, was the issue when in the new Teen Titans when Dick Grayson and Wally West gave up their identity.
Okay. Yeah. That's a cool one.
and I've been hooked on Dick Grayson, Robin, Nightwing ever since.
Yeah. Well, man, we're definitely gonna have to have you come back on the show then, and we can talk comic books because I got plenty to talk about on that. So,
hey, again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, and thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Guys, girls, thank you so much for joining me around the campfire once again to have another great conversation and learning more about us as podcasters. Man, you just never know the stories that we're going to tell. It's been amazing and fun. And before I leave, please support your local indie wrestling. You never, ever, never know who is in your local wrestling that will become a major star in the future. And I will tell you that you get something in the indies that you don't get in the majors. You get the contact with wrestlers. You get to pick their brain. For me, it's a fun family atmosphere, and your kids will get a lifetime of memories with that. And you as a parent will have a lifetime of memories seeing how well your kids have a great time. So definitely do it. With that being said, I am Professor Bear. This has been the Bear's Thought, and we will see you around the campfire again soon. Y'all take care.